Good morning, forensics classes. It's Mr. Barone here. It's 11:19 on Monday, March 23rd, 2020. We are just now starting our next unit, and this unit will be completely online. So it's going to be drugs and toxicology. I have it scheduled to take us 2 weeks. So everything that gets submitted will be submitted on with me here on April 3rd, Friday, April 3rd at 11:59 p.m. Okay, so this video is just going to detail what you have to do, and then you'll have the rest of the time in the next 2 weeks to work on it. And I will be here to check in with you guys. I will post videos to help you along the way, and so on. Okay, so really quick, I want to go, before we get into this, I want to review one more thing. Many of you guys at this point now, you also have to be considering going back and finishing your fingerprint project. I only got about, I'm trying to think here, probably close to 25% of you turned it in. And I know way more than that actually had it done on paper and just had to write the report. So I'm hopeful that there's a large number of you in my classes who just need to like sit down, take the time to take pictures of your packet, take some pictures of your packet and post it, write a quick report and send it off. I really don't think it should take more than an hour or so. So I updated Infinite Campus. I updated the scores on Google Classroom. So hopefully one of those two things alerted you to the fact that you did not turn in a major assignment for this class. And that was something that we did spend some time working on in class before school broke. So it is expected that you finish that. Okay, so I'll probably give you guys a day to like regroup and to see that, oh, I have a 0 for this assignment. I have to go get caught up, or to email me. But I will have to start making phone calls tomorrow. So that's the last I'll say about it. If you are still not sure what you have to do, email me. If you just want to resubmit it, just do it. Just submit it. I'll do whatever it takes. You have to give me that assignment though, so that I can put in a grade. Otherwise, it's going to remain as a 0 on Infinite Campus. Okay. Looking forward now, we'll leave that behind us. If you want to work on that, you can do that on your own time, but we are going to now focus forward on drugs and toxicology. What I've done with Mr. Telesco is we made a joint unit for our forensics classes, and it has a bunch of stuff here. So I'm going to open this up. The instructions are sort of small and condensed, but this is what you see here will encapsulate 2 weeks of work. Now, some of you guys who might work from dawn to dusk could probably do all this in a week, but I'm expecting most of you guys will spread this out, and it will take you guys 2 weeks. So what am I asking you guys to actually do? So when you open up the assignment, there are 3 documents that you can see. It says text chapter 9 scan. That's our copy of the textbook that we're going to use. It's from the high school textbook. So for those of you guys in my class, and not Mr. Telesco's class, we're using that high school textbook, not our college-based textbook. So it should be a little bit shorter, a little bit easier to go through. There are, I believe, 9 pages. Now we divided it into 2 sections, pages 250 to 257. So we start at the beginning, and you go to page 257, and that is going to coincide with what's called guided notes number 1. And then right here on page 257, it switches over to heavy metals and pesticides. We divided that into 257 to 259, and that's going to be guided notes number 2. So as you're going through, and we'll get to this in a minute, as you're filling out guided notes number 1, you're going to focus your energy on pages 250 to 257, as the instructions say. And then when you get to guided notes number 2, it's going to be just pages 257 to page 259. Okay, so this is your textbook. This is what you will be following along with. Let me move myself here. Okay. You also have the other 2 documents here. You have the instructions, which are what I would look at next, and then you have the student work. Pretty self-explanatory. Everything you need to know is here. This is view only. You can't change anything here. You can't submit anything here with the instructions. It's view only. Everything you turn in will be here. So we're going to look at this one last. Let's look at the instructions as to what you're expected to do. All right. So now let this load. Here we go. First of all, this is a project that we came up with where it's going to give you guys some choices. Everybody has to go through the textbook because you need to know the basic vocabulary and the basics of the unit that we're talking about. So everybody has to go through the textbook. I linked the textbook here. You can click this link here, or you can go right through Google Classroom. They'll all take you to the same place. They'll all take you to the textbook that I just showed you. So you have to read the textbook. As you are following along, you have to do guided notes 1 and 2. So basically, there's a guided note sheet that will sort of make sure that you're understanding the key parts of the textbook that you need to know. So the first thing that everybody has to do is this right here. You all have to read those 9 pages and fill in guided notes 1 and guided notes number 2 on your sheet that will be on Google Classroom. So everybody has to do that. When you're done with that, the hope is that you guys will know some of the basics about forensic toxicology, and you'll know some of the basics about chemical analyses here in doing autopsies and how chemicals get into our bodies. Now, after you finish that, you will be selecting 3 of the following 5 additional activities. So this is like a menu. There's 5 cool activities. I'm letting you choose 3 of them. They are predominantly multimedia based, so you don't want to sit there and just go through a textbook. They are a little bit more interesting, I think. So you'll have to do 3 of these 5. You do not need to do all 5. Maybe later in the week we'll craft some sort of extra credit or extension activity for those of you guys who want to do additional activities. Over the course of the next 2 weeks, you might see some additional activities pop up in addition to this. But for now, these are the 5 activities you're going to choose from. Okay, so you're going to be tasked with choosing any 3 of these that you want. So the first one is a Newsella text set. Some of you guys like to sit there and put your headphones in and just read and do a Newsella and just call it a day. There's a text set on Newsella all about toxicology, and I have added it to you guys. It has 6 articles in it, and you have to read all 6 articles. You have to answer all the quiz questions, and then you also have to write a 1-page summary about, I'm gonna get lost here in my tabs. You also have to do a 1-page summary about how they are all related to the current unit. Okay, so one thing I'll sort of highlight is that every single one of these additional activities, it does require a 1-page sort of reflection on what you did. Okay, so no matter what you choose, you will be writing a 1-page summary on a Google Doc. So the first choice, you read the 6 articles on Newsella, you answer all the 4-question quizzes, and you write a 1-page summary as to how those articles appear to relate to our current unit. That's the first choice. The second choice, we have a case study of the Whitney Houston death, where Whitney Houston was found dead in a bathtub. So you can watch 3 YouTube videos in order. Part 1, they talk about, basically it's like the news, the day she died, and then they report like, hey, this is what happened. Whitney Houston was found dead in a bathtub. We don't know much more than that. So you can watch this to get a background of the, the case as it was like the day she died. And then as the results of her autopsy and the results of the toxicology reports come in, there are 2 videos that sort of discuss what those results might mean, and they're a little bit different. So if you want and you choose to do this, you can watch these 3 YouTube videos in order, and then you write a 1-page reflection discussing their opinion of the case. So maybe you'll see that there are some opposing viewpoints as to how she may have died. So I'll be interested in hearing your response or critique of what they said, as well as reading your opinion as to what you think happened. That is choice number 2. Choice number 3, it's another pair of YouTube videos. This one, it talks about toxicology as a career. And there are 2 videos. I believe the first video talks about toxicologists who work in the private sector for like businesses and food businesses and food companies. And then the second one talks about toxicologists as it pertains to forensics. So if I'm a forensics toxicologist. So you can watch these 2 videos. Imagine what it would be like to do this as a job. Is that something that you're interested in? Is that something you want no part of? Is it boring to you? So you can watch these 2 videos, and I want you to sort of evaluate how interested you would be in doing something like this as a career, and maybe compare and contrast the similarities and the differences between both being a toxicologist in the private sector versus being a toxicologist for a law enforcement team. Number 4, the 4th item you can choose from. There are two, three. I mean, there are 5 podcasts I've posted from the American College of Medical Toxicology. There are 5 of them that I think are relevant and like sort of interesting to us as a class. There are many more that are on that page, on that website, but some of them are just very specific to different types of drugs in the pharmaceutical world. So some of those we're going to try to avoid. But on this page, check out episodes 5, 6, 10, 11, and 12, and choose 3 of those and write a one-page summary of what you found interesting from those podcasts. Okay, they do typically relate to a little bit more of like the opioid crisis, marijuana use, and vaping. There are things that might be more relevant than talking about these super specific drugs for some sort of illness that they're testing out. So these 5 episodes, choose 3 of them and write a one-page summary as to what you found interesting and what you learned. Lastly, I have some more podcasts. Instead of from the ACMT, these come from Apple, and these are a little bit more like general podcasts and maybe a little bit easier to listen to. Again, there are a series of 12-minute podcasts. You can choose 3 of them and write a one-page summary of what you found interesting and what you learned. So of these 5 items, you need to choose 3. Obviously, if you hate Newsella, you can choose to do more video-based stuff. If you love podcasts, you can do both podcasts and maybe a YouTube video. This will be the start of this unit. So this is the core of this unit. Mr. Telesco and I may indeed add some stuff onto this as we get later into the week and we see how you guys are progressing. But this is the core of your project. How to submit them. So you have all the instructions are here, but where do you actually go to submit this? So let me jump over and look at this document. It says all student work. This is where you're going to submit everything. This will have a specific, your name will be tied to this document. When you turn it in, it'll just be yours. So you're going to open this up when you're ready to start filling stuff in. And this is the document that you're going to turn in. And this is how it looks. Okay. So guided notes number 1. This will take you through what I expect, pages 250 to 257. As you're reading in the book, you're going to be filling this in. Okay, it's basically like imagine yourself taking notes in your notebook. You're going to follow along with a book and you're going to fill this stuff in. So the first in blue, guided notes number 1, deals with pages 250 to 257. Okay, as you scroll down, all of a sudden you see the little dashed lines and it says guided notes number 2. That's when we talk about the pesticides and poisons, and it's only that small section of 257 to page 259, and it's relatively short. So you're going to fill this in according to what's on those 2.5 pages. So those 2 make up the guided notes. That's the biggest thing. Everybody has to do that. Everybody has to do the guided notes in red and blue. Guided notes 1 and guided notes 2, because they are connected to pages 250 to 259, which will give everybody the basics about this unit. So everybody is expected to do this. Now, when you're all done with that, take a break for a day, and then decide which of those additional activities you want to do. So whichever one of these you choose, remember they all feature a one-page summary, right? So you can decide which of these you want to do. You can watch the video and or listen to the podcast or read the newsletters. Okay, and when you're done with it, you're going to go back here and you'll see underneath it says additional activities. Additional activity number 1. Let's say you chose to do the Whitney Houston article. You would say the Whitney Houston YouTube videos, and then you write your one-page summary below. Okay, then let's say you want to do the second podcast. So you'd write the second podcast about this. Then you write your one-page summary here. So what will happen is at the end of this, when you're all done, you'll have 3 activities you've chosen, and you'll have 3 one-page summaries. When I say one page, I mean a complete page, double-spaced. I'll give you guys that, because if it's all single-spaced, it's a lot of writing. At least a one-page summary, double-spaced. Okay, so I would expect to see this thing as you're writing. This box will get bigger and bigger and bigger, and it should take up an entire page by itself. Not including the heading up here and all of that. I want to see at least a full page. Okay, not a little mini paragraph, an entire double-spaced page summary of what you read or what you listened to. All right, so you're going to do one of these for each. Of those 5 activities, you will choose 3 of them, and your one-page summaries go here. Okay, now when you're done with that, at this point, you're done with the core of this unit. And I have a little checklist here. Before you submit, did you read the first 7 pages in the textbook? And then did you fill in the corresponding guided notes, the one that's colored in blue? Check, check, right? Did you read pages 257 to page 259 in the textbook? And did you fill in the corresponding guided notes number 2 in red, right? Everybody had to do that. So hopefully everybody fills in these first 4 boxes. Now, did you choose 3 additional activities, whether they're YouTube videos, podcasts, Nuzellas? And then did you write 3 one-page summaries here? Okay. If you said yes to everything, then you're done, and then you can submit this whole document. Okay, this whole document, which says all student work, then you can click turn it in. Do not click turn it in until this whole thing is filled out, both guided notes and 3 one-page summaries from those 3 different activities. And then you are done with the core of this. Mr. Telesco and I might put together a secondary, like a debate or a secondary project for this unit. We'll see how you guys handle this. But this is your drugs and toxicology unit. And we thought it was nice because it incorporates some multimedia and it gets you guys to choose something that you're interested in. Okay, there's a lot of choices for you after you do the basic part of going through the textbook. Okay, so that is my video for today. Like I said, everything you need to know should be explained here in this video, and it should be explained here in this sheet. If there's something you don't understand, I'm just an email away. Please shoot me an email. I will definitely be checking in on your progress over the course of the next few days, and I will probably post a video every day to sort of check in with you guys. All right, that's it. I'm going to sign out. Have a great day. Remember, please turn in that fingerprint project if you didn't do so already. For those of you guys who didn't turn it in, suddenly your schedule is going to get very busy as you're working on all of this stuff, and you're working on that as well. Also, last thing, really try to dedicate maybe 30 to 60 minutes a day for this class. If you fail to do that, suddenly you're going to start to find out that everything's going to get pushed to the end, and it'll be Thursday, April 2nd, and you'll be like, oh snap, I didn't do any of this stuff. And you're going to have to go back and do a lot of work. Carve out 30 to 60 minutes a day and do a little bit here, a little bit there. And this way it's not so overwhelming. And that goes for all of your online classes. All right, guys, that's it. Have a great day. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're staying healthy. I hope you guys are staying on top of all your work, and I hope to see you. All right, take care.